Welcome to the Queen's Table podcast. I'm your host, Marissa J, and today we're going to be breaking down the final season of Dear White People. But first, I've got some explaining to do. Yes, I am alive. I missed putting out the last 2 episodes. They are recorded but not edited, and that's because Audacity, the audio editing software that I use, had a bunch of changes that I just didn't know how to deal with. I've been all over YouTube and Google trying to fix all of these changes that Audacity had made, and no one seems to have the answer except for this one dude on YouTube who essentially ended up saying that they'll end up reverting back because it's open source and blah, 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 blah. So I ended up doing an episode on the VMAs, Chloe's performance and her new video, and a whole bunch of other shit that's currently outdated that'll probably never see the light of day. However, I do want to talk briefly about Lil Nas X's new album, Montero. That album slaps. Honestly, I thought that it was going to be nothing but wild boy shit. Just raunchy, nasty songs about everything that nobody wants to hear anything about. But I am a firm believer in understanding your arguments, and I felt like I was going to do a whole episode on how nasty that man is. So let me just go ahead and take that L because Montero is on repeat over here, baby. Dead to Me is my new anthem, and the video for That's What I Want almost had me emotional, okay? He really dug deep and exposed his soul in a way that I didn't think was possible for him. I've always kind of saw him as a very surface level, very shallow, very basic person, and this album proved me absolutely wrong. So unless he does some seriously foul ass shit, I'ma shut the fuck up forever about Lil Nas X. Period. Another reason why I've been super MIA, because let's face it, I could have put out a short bonus episode in the meantime, but it's because I'm helping get my son's YouTube page set up. More about that probably next season, which we're going to wrap this season up here pretty shortly. Because it's going to take a while to get everything set up the way that we want it to. But major props to my baby boy for taking this big step. So, without further ado, here got an episode, y'all. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. So episode 1, true to Dear White People form, it is obvious that the story will take the entire season to get all of the moving pieces. It doesn't go forward from there too awful much. So it starts off with Lionel at a book signing sometime in the near future. Sam enters and she's the only person to attend the book signing. So, because Lionel, he's doing it on the computer. It's all virtual. Not many people show up for that either, but he's there. It's a thing. So, and you can tell some time had passed. Sam, when she walks in, you can tell she's fly as hell, but she's got like a couple of gray streaks in her hair and all of that. So, her skin's still flawless, but it is what it is. Okay. So, the shop ends up getting temporarily locked down because in this near future, businesses can close due to fleeting pandemics and stuff. Apparently somebody had some sort of bird flu, swine flu, something on the subway, and so they shut all of the businesses down. What I want to know more about this dystopian ass future, because apparently it was only shut down for like an hour or two, even if it was for a couple of hours. What did they do in the meantime? Did the government come down and snatch these people up and force them to quarantine? And I don't know. It was very dystopian. They glossed right the fuck all over that. They glossed it. I need to know more about this. What they doing with the folks? Why? Why did it take so long? I need to know more about this. So, in episode 1, you find out that the entire series is going to be a musical. I fucking hate musicals with a passion. I really don't like them, especially in television shows and especially when they haven't done that before. Now, I think they had broken out in a song and dance a time, maybe 2, but I kind of feel like, y'all remember, I don't know if y'all watched Sabrina, BT Dubs. Fucking loved Sabrina, okay? But they kept putting in these musical numbers. And it wasn't every single episode, but they would just break out in a song and dance out of fucking nowhere. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. because it was just fucking weird. I don't like that. So the second that they had mentioned that this is going to be a musical, I wanted to turn the fucking TV off, for real. I didn't want to watch it at all. But Dear White People is a very creative show, and I wanted to see how they came to this. So Lionel had written Dear White People Volume 1, 2, and 3. That's what the book signing is about. So when Sam enters in, you can tell they are not friends anymore. A lot of time has passed. We don't know what had happened. And but she's wanting to get back in his good graces. So, and obviously it was definitely something that she did, because he took the title Dear White People, and she wasn't even mad about that. So, I mean, she mentioned it, but she wasn't mad about it. So you can tell she did something foul as fuck. So anyways, they get to talking about how, he had done volumes 1, 2, and 3, and why he didn't do volume 4. They, have an interchange back and forth on why he didn't want to do volume 4. They end up agreeing to collaborate. Because she's doing movies and TV shows and shit now. So in commercials, they agree that they're going to go ahead and collaborate on volume 4. And in her television adaptation or movie adaptation, it's going to be a musical. Because the reason why is because the whole thing about season 4 was that the college was up for this variety show, and they were going to put on a musical. It was a big deal because historically that type of thing only went to the white kids. Yeah, but now it came to AP House. And so, yeah, they decided, oh, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to make it a musical, and it's going to be a 90s theme. I think the title of this season, or not the title, but the subtitle of this season is The Only Way Forward is to throw it back. So it's kind of a throwback type situation. I don't like that 90s music is throwback, but okay, all right, that's fine. Show my age, fine, whatever, fine. So, moving forward. In episode 2, the musical continues, but the story does deepen. Obviously, it's a good show. Y'all know the show. It's a good show. So, one of the subplots is that there's this Asian guy, this student, gay guy, that was robbed while working as a sex worker. Here's the thing. It was a subplot for a reason. Lionel's boyfriend, the guy that he's dating now, he's in the musical. And eventually, they end up working that into the musical. And we'll get into that the next episode of this show. Because, I'm only going up to episode 4, 5, something like that. I don't know where the fuck I'm going to stop. But I do know that I have to break this shit up. So anyways, this Asian guy, he comes in. Well, he doesn't come in, but Lionel's boyfriend ends up bringing him in because he had heard about what had happened. He ended up getting beaten up and robbed because he was doing sex work. So they ask why. Y'all know of course, they take stuff from real life and apply it to the show. But do you guys remember a couple of years ago when they were taking down all of these sites and stuff like Craigslist, for example? So you can no longer advertise for sex or as a sex worker or seek out a sex worker on Craigslist and certain sites like that. That made things a little bit difficult for sex workers because they need to be able to, do this safely. However, completely skirting over the fact that, they didn't mention Craigslist by name, but I know what the fuck they're talking about. There was a whole ass Craigslist killer. My OBGYN, his nurse practitioner, when I was pregnant with one of the babies, she was my nurse practitioner, and she just up and disappeared. And I had asked what happened to her, and they said that she had to quit, take some personal time because the Craigslist killer killed her husband. So, these sites, are they really all that? Anyway, that's what that is. Somebody had asked him, why didn't the LGBTQIA help you guys out? Like, that's where y'all need to be at. And they reply, well, we're the dirty queers because they're sex workers. And so LGBT isn't going to help out people that are sex workers. So, musical, a song and dance breaks out. And so with this song and dance, And of course, they cringe, to say the least. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. It was definitely cringe. It felt like it felt forced. I don't know. But with the song and dance, Reggie, the head of the Black Caucus, ends up giving in after a song and dance. That really doesn't explain too often much anything. Like, why are you at this prestigious college and you're a sex worker? Like, and everybody's like, why don't you get another job? And, like, I understand it for certain people in certain circumstances. You can't really find work anywhere else because of whatever reason. But these are college students at a very prestigious university. Why are you working as a sex worker, putting yourself in danger like that? I don't know. Now, everybody's different. That's perfectly fine. Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But why are you, as an Asian gay man, going to the Black Caucus asking for help? That right there is something that I really wish that they would have dug into a little bit deeper. How we always go and we fall over ourselves to help out literally everybody else. But yet in the fucking show, they're making them put the musical on in a building named after a slave owner. Like, and it takes the entire season. I don't know why no one tried to arrange for this to be outside or somewhere other than this particular building. I don't know. There's a lot of holes here that I just really wish that somebody would have addressed. But hey, it is what it is, okay? Now, Joelle she ended up taking on way too much stuff, way more than what she could handle, okay? There's foreshadowing that, things aren't going to be so very easy for her this year. She ends up taking on a fuck ton of classes. They convince her to do this musical. And she does it. It overlaps with this study that she's in. It's supposed to be this. And that's another thing. They skated over so much shit. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what happened with the study that she was involved in. Because, she want to be a doctor. So in this study, it's supposed to be, faith-based healing. As a scientist, I get it. Not a scientist. Scientist, doctor, whatever. You're a person of science. Integrating that with this particular study, I don't know why no one questioned it. Literally no one questioned it. Apparently, this is what was supposed to have happened. There was a bunch of subjects that were in chronic pain. They had chronic pain. And some of them were getting prayers. Some of them had like a group of folk praying for them, and some of them didn't. Had to be a double-blind study, which means nobody should know who's getting the treatment, who's not getting the treatment being prayers. And during that whole subplot, it turns out she's like super excited because during a musical number, there's a guy who is in a lot of pain. He started off saying that his pain was, really high. And then after he was getting the treatments, his pain level was at like a 5. Why anyone would apply science to this, I don't understand. I really don't. I don't think that a study like this would be taken seriously. I'm sorry, but I don't. So they don't address that. I can understand integrating God with science. I understand that. There's plenty of Christian scientists. There's plenty of Buddhist scientists. There's plenty of Muslim scientists. Okay, you can integrate faith with science, but do it in a way that makes fucking sense. Because this shit, prayers, and they really thinking that it's working? Okay. Turns out that she ends up finding out that 2 people from the study know each other. So one of the patients and one of the prayer warriors actually knew each other. And then it turned out that several of them knew each other. So she looks into it. She goes and tells the person that's above her. And nothing has changed. She thought that they were going to take them out of the study. She looks deeper, finds out more people know each other. So she goes to the head of the research department and she's like, yo, these folks know about each other. I done told such and such. And it turns out dude already knew. He did that shit on purpose. So that way they could get more funding for this particular study. She ends up having a change of heart and was like, nah, fuck this. This ain't what I want to be a part of. So that's how she ends up getting out of that. But she had like 1,000,001 fucking classes that she was trying to take. And I mean, even that study, her counselor was like, yeah, no, that seems like you doing a lot. So then when she adds on the musical, he was like, hell no, I'm not signing off on this. She was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. She's working herself to the bone. Here's the thing. I don't understand how in the hell is it that she was able to get all of this shit done and her hair and makeup was slayed every single episode. I'm sorry, but that's just not realistic. I am in my pajamas right now, baby. So I don't really know. I mean, I know it's a television show and I know that this is supposed to be satirical, but at the same time, put something realistic in here because I don't know. I don't know. So moving on to episode 3. From the subplot of the previous episode, early on in this episode, there was like this weird montage of Black Lives Matter and Pride themed commercial ad. I don't really know what the fuck they call it at this point in time because it's in the near future. So I really don't know. Probably an ad. A couple of years ago, my son asked me what a commercial was. No, he said, oh, I just hate all of these ads on real TV. Because at that point in time, we didn't have like a Roku to put the YouTube and everything else on. So we were watching like regular station television. He's like, these ads are just crazy. I'm like, it's called a commercial. So anyway, but apparently this is something that Sam had directed. And she was like, oh, I got to pay the bills some kind of way. And then they don't address, I mean, they make fun of it throughout the series. It gets brought up, the ad ends up getting brought up a couple of different times, especially in the last episode. Everybody's mocking Sam for doing this because it's really cheesy and whatever. But once again, they don't address the fact that they're combining Pride with Black Lives Matter. Have your own thing. I don't understand why it's so hard for this super black show. It's titled Dear White People. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we just let everybody piggyback off of our cause and then want to make their cause our causes? But nobody says anything when it's black folks getting shit on. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Boosie, was it Boosie? No, it wasn't Boosie. It was the baby. It was either Boosie or the baby. Some motherfucking body punched that black woman in the club. It was the baby. The baby punched that black woman in the club. Did nobody say shit? LGBTQ plus, they didn't say a goddamn thing about it. Asian folks wasn't saying a motherfucking thing about it. Black men wasn't saying a motherfucking thing about it. He didn't get canceled over that. But he asked folks who's not sucking dick in the parking lot. You don't have to be gay to suck dick in a parking lot, but okay. And then the whole LGBTQIA, LMNOP, QRSTUVWXYZ came after him and canceled his ass. Okay. I'm just really irritated by that. And I knew that I was going to have to break this up into different episodes here because there's a lot going on that they just completely skate over. And I really feel like, yo, if you're not going to dig deeper into this, if you're not going to give a proper response as to why the Black Caucus at this university should get involved with LGBT issues, if you're not going to explain it, then just take it out altogether. Lionel is gay. His boyfriend was a sex worker, which, child. Okay. We'll get into that later. We'll get into that later because there's more issues there that I'm just not okay with. Anyway, that was what was going on in episode 3. So it's more songs, more dance. It's not a filler episode. Episode 3 was not a filler episode, but it did have a whole lot of unnecessary parts. Okay, Troy had mentioned something about this. We're in their senior year, not the future, but in their senior year, you know, he was saying that we're in the middle of a Black Renaissance, and the last Black Renaissance was in the 90s, which is true. But I want to know, like, you just glossed completely all over that. Give examples of a Black Renaissance that we're in right now. Okay, because I don't see any new Basquiat's out here. Ain't no, what major Black artist is out there right now? This is getting like super notoriety. Basquiat was the last one. Sorry. I just don't. How is this a Black Renaissance? And I know I'm going to end up mentioning this in the intro, but Lil Nas X, That whole album, Montero, was fucking fire. Fucking fire, okay? Maybe I would include Lil Nas X in that. But I mean, like, we're in a Black Renaissance now? How? Give me an example, because I don't know. So, I don't know. Episode 4, and this is the last episode that we're going to talk about in this particular episode, because this is starting to run a little bit long, and I got shit to do. No, I really don't have nothing to do. I got to edit this, but also, I don't want this to be too super duper long. So anyways, in episode 4, there's another subplot going on. Coco, Calandria, and Muffy are on a reality TV show. So Muffy and Coco, they both have a producer. The producer who is like, he said that he's Caribbean, I believe. I believe he mentioned that he was Caribbean or something. So he could say the word nigga. And that's another thing too. Who can say it and who can't? But it is what it is. That's another episode for another day. But anyways, he ends up convincing Coco to vote out the only other Black woman that's on the show. Let me take that back. The producer was trying to get Coco and the other Black woman to beefing. And then when she fires him, because she's like, I'm not finna beef with the only other Black woman here. When she said that, then she ended up getting another producer. And that producer ends up convincing her to go ahead and vote out the other Black woman. And so they play into this whole back and forth type of situation. And it's like, that really wasn't even dealt with appropriately. They make this subplot of Calandria's like this, they foreshadow it to be this big thing, that she, was losing herself in this reality TV show. The prize is all different kinds of, not only money, but, jobs and just a head start on your career and all of that stuff, which it did give her a leg up. She had a U.S. pin on. I don't know if she the president or not. I don't know what the fuck going on, but anyhow, they didn't get super deep into that. I would have really liked for Coco and this. I forgot her name. I'm sorry. I forgot her name. She was British. And I like the fact that Sam had mentioned in the show that the other Black woman wasn't as much of a threat because of her accent. Her accent neutralizes her. So I was like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't even think about that. So the next time I'm speaking to white people, I'm going to start talking like this. All right? I'm joking. Anyway, so that was the whole thing. And let's see what else happens in this episode. Aisha comes for Sam. So there's this new character. She's a freshman. She is a very vocal activist. She ends up coming on Dear White People. Sam invites her on the show. And she comes for Sam. Like, hard. Super hard. She ends up mentioning Sam's white boyfriend. And she said, she called him, what? Problematic Pete. She said that she too tied with Problematic Pete. While that's fucking hilarious, okay? I don't understand why Sam didn't fight for her man even harder after that. Because here's the thing. They've already addressed Sam and her boyfriend's, I forgot his name too. Sam and her boyfriend's relationship with her being biracial, but identifying as Black, and him being a white guy. They've already gone through this whole back and forth. So I don't know why they had to bring that shit up again. You can be pro-Black without being anti-white. And it seemed as though the harder that Aisha came for Sam, the more anti-white Sam ended up becoming, which made absolutely no sense. Sam is biracial. If no other reason, she goes, I'm not dating outside my race. I'm half white, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why it was such a big fucking deal when they've already been through this. So they end up breaking up for a while because she couldn't deal with, well, there was a couple of reasons why, but she was acting real funky to him after the whole Aisha situation. And I think that was the start that drove the wedge in between them. The boyfriend ends up taking on this movie, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But he ends up doing this movie that was just not on par with what he wanted to do. But Sam couldn't get over the fact that, you got to do shitty ass shit sometimes in order to get your foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, it was right. She did what her passion was, the documentary. Oh, I ain't mention this. Sorry. So at the very beginning, at the very beginning of the episode, they were talking about her documentary. So she ends up she's following all these different people because she's trying to get a thesis for her. She's trying to get her thesis together, and she ends up following different types of people trying to get this story, trying to get a story. But then when the musical comes around, she was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And she ends up filming the whole thing, becomes a documentary, and she ends up winning like some sort of film festival. I think they mentioned Sundance. But after that, she kind of just fell off. She ends up doing ads for a combination gay pride and BLM type of stuff. I don't know. I don't know where that disconnect was. And then the boyfriend ends up, going off to do all of these super awesome, amazing things, because he had to do something that he didn't want to do at first in order to get his foot in the door. I don't understand why her, of all people, should overlook that. So, I don't know. It was real. And they ended up doing a rendition of Bye Bye Bye. It was cringe. I did not like it. Not even a little bit. So, at this point, I'm sitting here hoping that they are going to dig deeper into some of these issues, but they didn't. They never did. And by episode 4, I was too invested to stop watching. I had to figure out what the fuck was going on. Anyway, and they make it seem like Reggie's gone. And don't nobody know what the fuck happened to Reggie. Ain't nobody finna know what the fuck happened to Reggie until towards the end of the show. And this will be the last thing that I say before I hop on here. Reggie's the head of the Black Caucus. He ends up getting involved in trying to help this Asian gay student that got beat up. Why they didn't go to the cops, don't know. Why they didn't go to somebody who could have figured some shit out, figure out who this person was, and, get justice. Don't know why they didn't do that. Their solution to all of this was Reggie, because, he's a tech guy. He was going to make an app to make sex work safer. So, you'd be able to, the sex worker would be able to maintain their anonymity, but the people that were seeking them out, they would be vetted and all of that stuff. I mean, which is a really good idea, but you kind of got to get around all of these different roadblocks that have been put in place by the U.S. government, because they had done away with all of that shit. So why they didn't go deeper into the avenues that they had to maneuver around in order to get this app made, I don't know. But the app ends up not being that app at all. It ends up being something completely different. And we're going to get into that, because what the app ends up being is an idea that I pitched to a good friend of mine. What was it, last year? Yes, last year I pitched a green book idea. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. A green book idea, and he told me it was stupid. Listen, I'm going to end on this note. Anytime you have an idea, don't tell somebody about it, okay? Don't tell somebody about it. I have two main people that I go to always and forever. I used to go to him, but he shot down literally everything. And I think it was because he may have been a little bit salty that he wasn't doing it. I don't know. But there are two people on this earth that I trust completely and explicitly to help me realize certain dreams, okay? Because they're not haters. Don't tell nobody your idea. If you have an idea for something, figure out how to go about doing it without having to tell too awful many people. Because honest to God, I had this whole ass idea and he thought that it was stupid. And so I let it go. And now it's on a whole ass TV show and I'm like, nigga, that's exactly what the fuck I wanted to do. But anyway, that's it for today. Bye.